Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates and notifications.
Hello everyone. I have conducted an investigation on an incident that caught worldwide attention. It involves a deep-sea tourist submarine named the Titan, which mysteriously disappeared during a dive operation in the North Atlantic Ocean. Interestingly, this incident occurred in the area where the famous wreckage of the Titanic is located. The Titanic is renowned as one of the most famous cruise ships in the world. It took 2 years to build, had a displacement of 46,000 tons, and was the largest and most luxurious passenger liner of its time, earning the reputation of being unsinkable. The name Titanic is derived from the Greek mythological Titans, symbolizing something colossal. In 1912, the Titanic embarked on its maiden voyage from Southampton, England, to New York, USA. However, it collided with an iceberg in the North Atlantic Ocean, causing the ship's hull to rupture and sink to a depth of 3,800 meters after 2 hours and 40 minutes. This tragic event claimed the lives of 1,517 people, accounting for nearly 70% of the total passengers. Among the casualties was Captain Edward John Smith, who chose to go down with the Titanic. Even today, there is a statue of him in a park in Lichfield, England. The accident shook the world and left people in shock. Due to technological limitations at the time, the exact location of the Titanic wreckage remained unknown. It was not until 1985 that the wreckage of the Titanic was discovered. Its hull was eroded by currents and bacteria for years and months, and the wreckage was slowly disappearing bit by bit. Therefore, many people want to see it with their own eyes. Some companies that specialize in diving sightseeing services have emerged. In 2009, a private company named OceanGate Exploration was established in Washington State, USA. The company specializes in providing high-end travel services for customers. There are not a few similar companies on the market, but most of the diving vessels that operate sightseeing activities explore natural landscapes, such as coral reefs within 500 meters underwater. The diving vessel of Ocean Dream Company can reach deeper places. Since 2001, Ocean Dream Company has started to take customers to visit the wreckage of the Titanic. The company has 3 submarines, one of which is named Titan, which is exactly the same as the name of the Titanic. The submarine is 6.7 meters long, 2.8 meters wide, 2.5 meters high, weighs 10 tons, and has a maximum diving depth of 4,000 meters. Diving to such depth requires a certain level of technical skills. The hull of the Titan is made of carbon fiber and reinforced with a circular titanium alloy cover. The submarine is equipped with high-definition cameras, inertial navigation systems, sonar devices, and other equipment, which can obtain real-time depth, speed, and intensity of the hull. The submarine has 4 propellers, 2 of which are placed horizontally and the other 2 vertically, with a speed of up to 3 knots. The tail is for feeding equipment and other electronic equipment. There are 2 display screens in the cabin, which are used to control the operation of the submarine through a remote control handle. The driver can also use it to perform functions such as light switches and ground communication. The passengers are like entering a small truck without chairs, sitting on the floor, leaning against the curved cabin wall. In addition to observing the surroundings through the display screen, passengers can also directly enjoy the surrounding scenery from a small window with a diameter of 53 centimeters in front of the submarine. The submarine is specially used for sightseeing purposes of the Titanic wreckage and can accommodate up to 5 people, usually carrying 1 driver, 1 guide, and 3 paying passengers, each costing $250,000. The interior space of the sightseeing submarine is very limited. 5 people can only sit on the ground. There is no cockpit. There is a toilet in the headspace, and passengers can pull up the privacy curtain when using it. The cramped and somber interior of the Titan submarine offers limited space, with passengers sitting cross-legged on the floor. Endurance and overcoming claustrophobia are required for the uncomfortable long rides, but passengers are willing to endure for a glimpse of the Titanic wreckage. The Titanic rests approximately 640 kilometers southeast of Newfoundland, Canada, in the North Atlantic Ocean. The Titan submarine, operated by OceanGate Company, has previously made 6 dives to the Titanic in 2021 and 7 dives in 2002. OceanGate, with its 3 submarines, Antipodes, Cyclops 1 and Titan, presents this remarkable journey as an escape from everyday life to explore extraordinary discoveries. In June 2003, the CEO of OceanGate Company personally led a group of 5 people on another expedition to the Titanic wreckage, following 2 incident-free years of diving activities. But I didn't expect that something went wrong this time. On June 16, 2003, it was a Friday, and they had to do so. After gathering 5 people, they set off again and headed for the Titanic wreckage. They will embark on an 8-day journey. The 5 people who went to visit were 61-year-old Stockton Rush, 87-year-old Paul Henry Nargeolet, 58-year-old Hamish Harding, 48-year-old Shahzada Dawood, and 16-year-old Suleiman Dawood. Among them, Stockton Rush is the CEO of OceanGate Company, an American, and he is the driver of the Titan sightseeing submarine this time. Paul Henry Nargeolet is a Frenchman and a former French naval officer. Titanic expert, he dived to the Titanic wreckage 35 times and recovered thousands of items. Participated in the production of 2 documentaries about the Titanic. In 2010, he also participated in the search for the black box of Air France Flight 47. He is Harding, a British billionaire explorer, graduated from Cambridge University. In 2002, Harding also took Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin company's manned spacecraft, with 5 other people to travel to space. Harding personally holds 3 Guinness World Records, namely, the fastest global flight speed around the Earth's poles created in 2019, the longest distance traveled at the depth of the whole ocean created in 2021, and the longest stay at the depth of the whole ocean. Harding is definitely a legendary figure. Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman Dawood are billionaires with dual nationality of Pakistan and Britain. They have been obsessed with the Titanic since they were young and love all kinds of adventures. This time he also brought his 16-year-old son Suleiman with him. He wanted his son to experience this excitement and thrill. Suleiman is studying at Strathclyde University in Scotland. His family said that he was a little scared of this trip. After gathering 5 people, the Canadian scientific expedition ship Prince, based in St. John's, Newfoundland, carrying the Titan sightseeing submarine, left the port and headed southeast towards the Titanic wreckage area. A day later, the Polar Prince arrived at the diving point waters, but they did not dive that day due to weather reasons. One of the passengers, Hamish Harding, posted a Facebook post saying that Newfoundland had experienced the worst winter in 40 years. The upcoming mission in 2023 is likely to be the only manned dive to the Titanic. With the weather window open, preparations were completed, and on Sunday, June 18, at 9:30 a.m., the detective diving mission officially began. The plan included an 8-hour dive and ascent for a complete wreck sightseeing experience. The wreck lies 3,800 meters below the surface, which can be better understood by comparing it to the height of the world's tallest building, the Khalifa Tower in Dubai, standing at 828 meters. Going to 3,800 meters is like submerging 4.6 Khalifa Towers beneath the sea. It took about 2 hours for the Titan submarine to reach the seabed. During the dive, Titan periodically sent safety signals to the surface, but at 11:15 a.m., an hour and 45 minutes after the dive, contact was lost. GPS and radio signals were malfunctioning, leaving the staff pondering the cause of the fault. However, they remained hopeful that Titan could return to the surface after several hours. In the afternoon, the surface staff tried to contact Titan countless times, but never got a response. The time came to 4:30 in the afternoon, which was the time when the Titan submarine planned to surface. At this time, no staff realized the seriousness of the problem, and Titan must have encountered an emergency. At 7:10 in the evening, the staff reported the situation to the U.S. Coast Guard. The relevant rescue and search operation officially started. The operation was carried out by an international team led by the U.S. Coast Guard, the U.S. Navy, and the Canadian Coast Guard. The first to arrive at the sea area was the plane. The U.S. Coast Guard dispatched C-Mitsubishi transport aircraft and P-8 anti-submarine patrol aircraft to participate in the search. They dropped sonar buoys to detect Titan's underwater movements. Canada sent Lockheed P-3 maritime patrol aircraft, equipped with devices to track submarines. A few hours later, they captured the sound from the bottom of the sea. Some media reported that Canadian planes detected it once every 30 minutes. Since the sound was captured by the device on the plane, it is impossible to determine the specific location of the sound or whether it originated from the Titan submarine. However, this message brings hope that people believe the 5 individuals on the submarine are still alive. The total amount of oxygen on the submarine was calculated from the departure of the 5 individuals and can sustain them for a maximum of 96 hours. Taking into account the increased fuel consumption during emergencies due to heightened anxiety. The ideal duration of oxygen support is 96 hours, but the actual situation may not reach that long and could be as short as 70 hours. Rescue teams are racing against time, but the remote location of the maritime area poses significant challenges to the rescue operation. Currently, the status of the Titan submarine varies. It may be trapped in a certain position on the seabed, or have resurfaced. It is understood that the Titan tourist submarine system has a timed buoyancy mechanism, which automatically brings the submarine to the surface after a certain period of time. It is worth mentioning that the 5 passengers are sealed inside the submarine by externally installed bolts, meaning the submarine occupants cannot open the hatch on their own and require assistance from external personnel to exit. This means that even if the submarine resurfaces, they will still need to rely on their own life support systems due to the sealed condition. Rescue personnel must find them before their oxygen runs out. After the accident, several vessels have joined the search. The Bahamian-owned ship, the Galileo, has 2 remotely operated submersibles, but they can only dive to a depth of 3,000 meters, unable to reach the depth of 3,800 meters where the Titanic wreckage is located. At a depth of 3,800 meters, the pressure is about 40 million pascals, which is 380 times that of the surface. The submarine will be under tremendous pressure in such an environment, and this environment will create conditions for an internal explosion. The so-called internal explosion is different from a normal explosion. It is a very fast speed that instantly inward. He said that in less than 0.03 seconds, the Titanic submarine was instantly crushed and disintegrated, like tearing a piece of paper, and the brain's response time to pain usually takes 0.2 to 0.5 seconds. This means that when the disaster happened, people hardly felt any pain. After the accident, the work of the brain, submarine and trumpet continued. People wanted to know what happened after the submarine lost contact with the outside world that day, and when it exploded internally. Some technical defects of the Titanic were also exposed. According to the official website of Ocean Intelligence Company, its Titanic submarine was designed and manufactured by experts from NASA, Boeing, and the University of Washington. However, after the accident, Boeing and the University of Washington immediately issued statements denying their involvement in the project's design. In January 2018, David Lockridge, the former business director of OceanGate Company, pointed out to the company's senior management that there were technical defects in the Titanic submarine. Carbon fiber materials can be dangerous during the pressurization cycle. Later, Lockridge was fired by the company. That year, OceanGate also sued him, accusing him of violating contract records, confidential fraud, and so on. Later, the two sides reached an out-of-court settlement. It is understood that the Titanic sightseeing submarine did not obtain the relevant certification for deep-sea diving, but since the wreck of the Titanic was in international waters, there would be no legal problems without certification. A media reporter named David Pogue shared a previous experience of riding the Titanic. Before boarding, he was asked to sign a document. There was a disclaimer on it that said that the Titanic was an experimental diving device that had not been approved or certified by any agency, and that it could cause permanent disability, mental trauma, or death. The reporter said that there were 18 bolts around the window, and the staff fixed them from outside the submarine, but strangely, they only installed 17 at that time. After questioning, the staff said it didn't make any difference. It is worth mentioning that there was no cockpit control in the Titanic sightseeing submarine, and it relied on a joystick. The model was Logitech F7.0. The handle was launched in 2015 and is currently sold online for $30. It is a wireless game controller that supports PC games, with 2.4 GHz wireless connection, dual motor vibration and programmable. Nowadays, some information about it can still be found on Logitech's official website, compatible with Windows and Kramer systems. Driving the Titanic was like playing a game. The difference is that life in the game can start over, but life in reality only has one chance. It was reported that Wendy Rush, the wife of Ocean Intelligence Company CEO Stockton Rush, was a descendant of a wealthy couple who survived the Titanic, and that the Titanic and the Titanic were only 2 letters apart, and that they had an accident in the same sea area, which made people feel strange. The prophecy of The Simpsons came true again. In one episode, the protagonist drove a not-so-reliable submarine to explore the sunken treasure, and had an accident on his way back. The plot was similar to the current Titanic sightseeing submarine accident. This undoubtedly added a bit of weirdness to the incident. The Titanic sightseeing submarine accident shocked the world, and people were worried about the safety of similar submarines. Such an incident also caused a major blow to the entire submarine sightseeing tourism industry. Famous director and screenwriter James Cameron personally took a submarine to visit the Titanic wreckage up to 33 times before making the movie Titanic. He is very familiar with riding a similar submarine. He also expressed his views on the submarine accident through the media. He was shocked by the disaster that was highly similar to the Titanic after the investigation, and felt that it was like a long nightmare. Cameron also said that he and one of the 5 passengers, Frenchman Paul Henry Nargeolet, had been friends for 25 years, and he could not accept losing such a friend. Cameron is not only a screenwriter and director, but also an expert in deep-sea exploration. He had warned a similar submarine company not to use carbon fiber materials a few years ago, because this material has a fundamental flaw in the structure of the hull. After the tragedy, the problem of lack of supervision in the private diving industry was exposed. After investigation, without third-party safety certification, multiple applications for finding people were implemented, which can be said to have been taking risks. In response, Cameron called on regulatory agencies to issue regulations in an interview, forcing safety certification for diving. Deep-sea diving is extremely dangerous, and has high technical requirements for diving vessels. There are probably more than a dozen diving vessels in the world that can dive below 4,000 meters. Among them, the Australian Deep-Sea Challenger submarine set a world record of 10,898 meters in 2012. At that time, director James Cameron rowed the Deep-Sea Challenger alone to the depths of the Pacific Ocean's Mariana Trench and stayed there for 3 hours. The diving depth of China's Jiaolong submersible is 7,062 meters, and China's Striver submersible reached a depth of 10,909 meters at the bottom of the Mariana Trench in 2020. There are only a few submersibles in the world that can break through the 10,000 meter level, which is the world's top level. The Prince of Gili, who transported Titan, was flying the Canadian flag. Therefore, the Canadian Transportation Safety Board issued a statement saying that it was investigating the accident. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police also said that it had set up an investigation team and did not rule out conducting a criminal investigation into the accident. Perhaps soon they can restore what the 5 people on Titan experienced before the accident in the submarine. The courage and spirit of exploration of mankind shine in the endless darkness of the deep sea. Unfortunately, the 5 people on Titan can never return. This accident sounded a wake-up call for navigators around the world and made people see the cost of underestimating the power of nature. However, humanity will never stop its pursuit of exploration. With a humble and cautious attitude, we can certainly take more solid steps forward. That's all. Thank you for watching.
Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates and notifications.